joining us on Key Factors, presented by the raceguide.com.au. And well, spring is in the air, and I can tell you what, Mike, I'm living in Quaddie and I've seen that helicopter a few times now with that huge Everest banner just going up and down the beaches. You know it's in the air at the moment.
Yeah, big chat. Everyone's talking about that banner, aren't they? Winx, the Everest. There's so much marketing budget around for racing these days, so much excitement about racing. The Everest so exciting. I just wish my girl in her time got a slot. How unlucky was she?
She was unlucky not to be there. But you can't have them all, Mike. The Everest is one thing. The Winx Circus, that's just headed to Melbourne at the moment. How about that parade? All the cameras, all the paparazzi. Good to see them having a piece. Yeah, Winx is such a great horse, obviously, and up against Humidor this weekend. Can she get beaten by Humidor? If she turns up and the track's not too firm, she wins by 3 or 4 lengths, doesn't she? Oh, let's just get her home. The mighty mare down in Melbourne. But look, we've got to bring the focus back to Royal Randwick this weekend. It's a huge day. We've got Group 1 and Group 2s for the 3-year-olds. And let's get stuck into the first leg of the Quaddie this weekend. It is the Roman Consul Stakes over the 1,200 metres. And, well, that fact in racing might be where the multiple runners from the stables was evident in the Heritage. With Viridine, he was the lesser of the Godolphin trio, but he was way too strong late for Single Bullet and Albumin, who came home. And then, look, we can't forget this Golden Rose form from Chauffeur, another one of Gerald Ryan's gun snitzel 3-year-old colts. He can find one. He's absolutely flying. The great horseman, G. Ryan. We love him. He's getting so many home. He had the Golden Rose favourite, Minari, and the winner at 50 to 1, don't you mind? Let's see how he goes here to kick us off the Quaddie. Group 2, 1,200 metres. A fair to strong tempo. There's a pretty speedy Queenslander we'll look at later coming down, setting a strong tempo, good 3 conditions. The rail's gone out a few metres. We think there'll be a pretty fair bias, but it might be a little bit off rails, especially for these last few races as the inside gets chopped up. So watch out for that. Maybe inside barrier is not that good towards the end of the day. Across these 3 key factors for the first leg of the Quaddie to kick us off. Stage of preparation, which of these sprinters is at the right stage of prep. Surge off the strong tempo, so important. And some of these 3-year-olds are not completely genuine. They don't jump and settle as well as others. So we'll factor that into the analysis as well. All right, we're going to get stuck into the factors soon enough, but we've changed it up a bit here on Key Factors. We've got some new graphics. Let's have a look at these. We're going to start with some form. We're going to mix in the key factors, and then, of course, we're going to have a bet. But let's start with this Roman Consul Stakes, and straight away I can see Viridine there, the unbeaten Bay Colt, the 3-year-old by Poet's Voice. He won the Heritage, and he looks like he's got a pretty... He's going the best in the form there with over a length. He's into $2.90 and clear favourite. Single Bullet, well, chased hard up the rail, just behind there on form. And then we had Albumin the Grey, who, well, he rounded out the trifecta in that market. He's a bit down in the market here at $9. And, well, Chauffeur, there's that Golden Rose form. Really interesting to see how the boys have lined this form up. And, well, he's equal there with some of that Heritage form. Yeah, lots of analysis there to see how Chauffeur lined up from a different form. I'm pretty similar. Let's get to know these horses better and then throw in those factors. Soon we're going to start with one of the Godolphin runners here in one of these replays and see how he went in the lead up. We're starting with Beau Guest, who was in probably a lesser grade race a few weeks ago. He's coming to the outside here. He's got Parast, who was nominated for this race but didn't actually turn up on the day. And Beau Guest, look, a lesser grade race but a pretty good win nonetheless, Stu. Yeah, look, pretty good win. These boys in blue, they always coming into at this time of year. And, well, what do you make of these ones in behind? Yeah, pretty good runs in behind. The overall ratings compared to Viridine, probably not quite as good, Beau Guest. He sprints quite well, but yeah, he's all out here and he only just wins a lesser grade race. All right, well, there's a look at one of the boys in blue. Let's have a look at the visiting Queenslander. One thing we do know about this horse is he's fast. Yeah, he is so fast. He won a race at Doomben by 8-point-something lengths, don't you mind? He's out in the lead here at Ipswich. He's flying along by 4, 5, 6 lengths. I want to get on at Randwick on Saturday when he comes down the turn because I think he's a freak. But just the last little bit, he's all out under the whip. He's probably given everything he has first up. He's not as good second up. And the form around him, Stu, we've looked through it. It's not good enough, we don't think. All right, well, that's exactly what we've got to weigh up here on Key Factors. And, Mike, you've got to take us all through that now. We've had a look at the form. We've had a look at a few replays. And now we've got to get stuck in. Yeah, let's look at this new analysis, these new graphics. Starting with that form rating, let's flash up these colours to find out which of these horses are suited and which aren't. Well, we think Viridine's got a gold bar there because 1,200 metres, even better for him. He's been running through the line. He could be even better than his form rating currently suggests. He's also so genuine, like Single Bullet, who gets a gold bar as well. Chauffeur's the one with the big negative. Stage of preparation's a big risk for him after the big Group 1 finale, and he's not the most genuine horse, is he, Stu? He always misses the start. Down the page, Snitzcraft, not as good second up like we said. And Albumin, he doesn't usually hit the line. Last start was a bit of an anomaly, red bar for him. So if you push them through, look at the overall ratings with those key factors as well. Look at that, Stu. Viridine, a bigger margin.
single bullet, a couple of lengths back in second.
Yeah, Viridine, he's absolutely streeted clear there. And, well, that's what's happened. We've factored in the analysis. That's all been done. So we've got to have a look at it a little bit. I saw the Mighty Fed just sneaking up there, and that was about the $9 mark as well. So we're going strong on the favourite here and maybe one at value.
Yeah, looking for these bets now, odds versus the ratings. Who do you like? The Mighty Fed, $23, don't you mind, Stu? A bit more than $9. And he'll love the strong tempo, surging home late. But that's a big gap for us on key factors. Looking at the best bet, it's got to be Viridine for us. He's the one on top. Chauffeur's a threat, but we looked at a couple of risks for him. So we think Viridine's a safe bet. And exactly, there's a couple of other top raters as well. Might be a good value bet too. All
right, well, there's a look at the first leg of the Quaddie, and it's the favourite to kick things off. Let's jump straight into the Group 1 race of the day. It is the Spring Champion Stakes over the 2,000 metres, a real precursor to the Victorian Derby in a few weeks' time, with three of the past five gloaming winners coming through the race. And Ace High, well, he was one of those. You were right on the money the other week, Mike. He just stayed all day at about that $9. It was a great bet. Sanction tried hard, but they absolutely gapped the rest.
It was a huge gap to third. It was a half a second. It was a few lengths. It was, well, can they get past them? Group 1, 2,000 metres. I love this race, the Spring Champion. It's a real spring classic ahead of the Derby. Fed a steady tempo. You think Ace High will at least get rolling for mid-race to make sure it's on the fair side like he did last start. Good three conditions. Watch out for that off-rails bias. They might be edging off the rails by this stage of the day. Across the three key factors, 3-year-olds up to 2,000 metres for the first time. It will make all the difference. There's one big position and run switch we've got to talk about in a second, and scope. Which horse is improving the most is so important as well.
All right, well, look, we're loving these new graphics, Mike. Let's start with the form here and add in a bit of odds. And, well, it's that 3-year-old brown coat, the High Chaparral, Ace High. He's just going to stay all day. He's one of the favourites there. He's well supported at $3.40. Sanctioned. He chased him home. Right in the market there, $4.40. Where's Tangled here? I mean, look, the form line suggests this is going okay, but not okay. But in the market, I mean, that's right there. So, but we're looking like we've sacked this Dulcify form, Mike. So not a huge gap in the odds there, but a huge gap in these form ratings.
There is a massive gap, isn't it? The analysts, I think the times and margins or the times and ratings for that particular race, the 1,600 metre race, the analysts didn't like that. So that's why it's such a big gap in the form. It'll be hard for Tangled to make up the difference with the factors. Let's get to know these horses a bit more. Looking at the obvious lead-up race. A few weeks ago, 1,800 metres gloaming. Actually, we're going to start with Langley's race and Tangled's race, the 1,600 metre Royal Randwick race. Langley back in the field on the inside. Tangled to one of the green and the checks on the rails, running on with a massive weight. He was probably the best run, but like we said, Stu, we're worried about this form line.
Yeah, look, we might be worried. You've done that a few times in the last few weeks. You've potentially sacked a form line. There was a Kingston Town the other week. This one here, Tangled just running up in behind. I don't know.
Yeah, Dissolution, a big run down the outside, but he was so well beaten by Astoria at the start before, which obviously ties in with the gloaming form. Yeah, big questions on that time, 135, not as good as other times on the day.
All right, well, we've got to have a look at the favourite Ace High here, but one thing the punters might have seen, he's a duck egg from 5 at Randwick, so we might just have to ease their nerves and say that he might be okay at Randwick.
Yeah, why are we going back a few runs to a 1,300 metre run when we're at 2,000 metres on Saturday? Well, Ace High won well last start. Ace High was good at Rose Hill. 5 starts for nothing at Randwick, so you'd be sweating if you lumped on. But they were in wet tracks, they were in Group 1s. This is him, second up, I think, 1,300 metres at Randwick. He gets up the rise completely fine. He's against some fantastic horses with Golden Rose form, and like he always does, he runs through that line fine.
Didn't he just? Right at the finish there. And as you said, some really good form lines around there. There's a look at a couple of the replays, Mike. Take us through these key factors. That's what we're going to get stuck into.
Yeah, let's do this analysis, starting with those form ratings. Look, we know Ace High and Sanction were so dominant last start. Let's see which horses are favoured with the key factor ratings on Saturday. Bang, there's a differentiation between those favourites, isn't there? Ace High up to 2,000 metres, a big plus for him. He's got a bit more scope as well. Sanctioned, Hugh Bowman on the last 2 starts has had the most perfect runs if you look at those replays. Wider barrier, change in jockey, a risk for him for position in run. Down the page, lots of these horses suited up in distance with more scope as well, including the Grey Sally. But can they make up a gap to those overall 2 favourites as we factor in both the form and the factors to see the overall ratings for this race? And you'll see they can't close this gap, we don't think. Ace High clearly on top, from Sanctioned in second.
He's just kicked clear Ace High, hasn't he? Much like Viridine in the last race. That really is a big margin there. But is it an open and shut case? I don't know. We've got to have a look at these all just to really make that. We've got to have a look at a bet. So let's bring in a few of the odds here because that's what we're really looking at. And look, Ace High, he's $3.40. He's absolutely streeting along in the lead there. This is just an open shut case, is it?
It's got to be an open shut case, Stu. I mean, we're sort of trying to fill in the gaps here, aren't we? Because it's such an obvious race to analyse. Sanctioned, we think, is a risk. Sully and Coral Coast, are the two we're worried about. It's hard to put a limit on the scope of these 3-year-olds. Second start in Sydney, they could really improve, but it's ace high for us. He's the best bet. Such a clear margin there. If he wins by 3 or 4 lengths, judging by the analysis, we won't be surprised. Yeah. So ace high's our best bet. And look, Sully and Coral Coast, if you want to have a covering bet on those 2 Melbourne horses, they're not the worst thing in the world. But we'll do another exacta with those 2 horses as well.
All right, a little bit of value there to round out the second leg of the quaddie. There's a look at the first 2 at Randwick this weekend. Stick around and we'll be back after the break to wrap it all up. Welcome back to Key Factors, presented by the raceguide.com.au. We're up to the third leg of the quaddie at Randwick this weekend, and I'm excited for this one, Mike. It's the Yank Stakes, and 2 of our favourites here on the show, Daisy Doom and Dixie Blossom, trained by the great Ronnie Quinton. I mean, some of these trainers, they like to keep their chargers away from each other during the big carnivals, but Ronnie, he just says, no, let's put them up against each other and see who's better.
It's going to be a great race. Lots of social media chat already about these 2 mares are so popular. They'll be Instagram sweethearts and Twitter sweethearts if either of them win. God bless them. Let's see how they go. Group 3, 1,600 metres. Fed a strong tempo. There's a Melbourne Raider and a couple of Waterhouse horses going forward. Pretty tough types like to roll along. So it should be an honestly run mile. Good 3 conditions. Fed off Rails bias, especially later in the day. Across the 3 key factors, the famous Randwick mile. We always play that, don't we, when it's over this track and distance. Has to be a key factor for us. And quite a big field. And one of the favourites, drawn so wide, we've got about position and run as well, Stu. Yeah,
that's Daisy Doom you talk about there. And as we have a look at the form and obviously the odds for this race, that's one of the first things we're going to see. It was Daisy Doom that came up favourite first of all. The barriers came out. Dixie got supported. They're equal favourites now at $4.40 each. A little bit back to Dormwall there and My True Love. And Savapinski, Mike, here's one really low on form rating there, but right in the market at $12. But she surely can't be beating Daisy and Dixie. Come on.
Surely not, Stu. Hawkesbury Class 2, Waterhouse runner at Randwick. That's why she's $12. She's got a drift on Saturday, we think. Let's have a look at these runners and get to know them more before we look at the key factor ratings. Starting with Daisy, starting with Dixie, the Group 2 Golden Pennant. This is a higher grade race than this race on Saturday, so they're coming back in grade. Dixie Blossoms 3 wide, no cover the whole way. Oh, Daisy Doom 3 wide, no cover the whole way. Dixie Blossoms coming to the outside, driving finish, Stu.
Yeah, Dixie had the cover, but Daisy, gosh, she's tough. She's here. She's hit the front. She's holding off Dixie late, but love the way Dixie worked home. Ronnie Quinella.
Yeah, both great runs. Daisy Doom absolutely flying this preparation since the trial. She was so good. Zenalicious running on, but she loves Rose Hill. Back to Randwick's a big negative for her.
All right, well, Dixie Blossoms, we know she can handle Randwick. This time last year, winning the same race, just ridden so cold out the back here in the white hat. And that turn, Mike, just sliced through this field, didn't she?
She absolutely sliced through the field like a hot knife through butter. We loved this run, didn't we? We loved her this day. Randwick 1,600 metres is her go. A Quiet Ride is her go with cover. She can accelerate really well from the 6 to the 400 metre mark and over the Randwick mile. She does that this day and she wins clearly.
Yeah, just smashes the line there. That was such a big win. And importantly, this race last year, she's just coming good again. We need the key factors here, Mike. They're equal top in the market. How are we going to split them?
Yeah, almost like the last race, isn't it? Working out which of these 2 horses are more favoured on the day. And the analysis is not that complicated. Let's flick up these key factor ratings and see which favourites are suited. Daisy Doom drawn so wide, it's not ideal for her. She's got to come across outside some pretty tough types. Dixie Blossoms, the Randwick mile from a perfect position run, thank you very much. Dawn Wall, My True Love, Imposing Lass, all suited up to 1,600 metres. We talked about Zenalicious before at Randwick. Let's push these ratings through and see what the overall ratings are. And there it is, Dixie Blossoms on top, a big gold bar. A big gap to Daisy Doom now. Imposing Lass, she's sticking her neck out, isn't she?
She certainly is. But, I mean, this is where the key factors play such an important role. I mean, Daisy had the form for right there at the first screen. Dixie with the barrier reversal. She's just gone right on top there. I can smell a little bit of a bet here, Mike. You said Imposing Lass. Might be a little bit underestimated, a little bit of value, but Dixie, how are we going here? That looks like a great bet to me.
Yeah, it's got to be a bet. We'll bring up these overall ratings and see the comparison. And look, 440 each of 2, a big margin between the 2 because of those key factors. And Imposing Lass pushing up. She's probably underrated. She was leading at a strong tempo last start. So looking across these 2 favourites, we think Ronnie Quinton's going to win it. We think Dixie Blossoms is the one. People have heard before she's a favourite of ours, so hopefully she does us proud on Saturday. She's an each-way bet for sure. $2 is a moral of place. Imposing Lass may be the Quinella horse, because everyone's going to be putting Daisy Doom in, aren't they?
They sure will. They usually stick together in those bets, but we've got Dixie on top. Let's wrap this quaddie up. It's the last leg. And look, another first full field here of the day, Mike, thank you. Really has been a quaddie killer over the last few weeks. I've had $21, $6.50, $21. That was Isa Rich again, thank you. And $15. But, geez, the boys in the office, they weren't happy when they saw this big field, were they? If you look at the first 9 runners here, it's either duck eggs in the recent form or they're coming back from a spell. So this is a bit of a minefield.
Yeah, pretty stinky looking form when you first look at it, but a great betting race, and sometimes this fresh form can be underrated. Benchmark race to finish us off, 1,200 metres, fair tempo. Look, not that many leaders engaged, but it's such a big field. You think it should be fair. Good 3, and they'll be edging off the rails as the day goes on at Royal Randwick. Across the 3 key factors, which of these horses is a genuine 1,200 metre sprinter who's primed to run at the right stage of preparation and has the scope to improve. There's lots of good 4-year-olds in this race, and even a 3-year-old too. All
right, well, let's have a look at this form for the last leg of the quaddie, and a look at these odds too. I can smell a big price here for the market, and yep, it's $4.20 for the field. This is definitely the closest on the form. Look at these, a whole bunch together there. We've got first up for Team Hawks, Piracy coming off his hat-trick. King Darcy up there as well. Timmy Martin's got that horse going well, but this looks pretty open here, Mike.
Yeah, much different betting proposition, isn't it? Straight away looking at those form ratings, even before you put the factors in. Closely matched race for sure. Let's have a look at a couple of these fresh runs we talked about to see which of these horses can perform first up. This is redoubled, 1,250 metres when he was back with the Hawk stable on a heavy track, and he's chasing a pretty good horse this day, isn't he, Stu?
Chasing a pretty good horse in Raymond that absolutely loves the wet as well. So redouble, you know, jumping out of the pack here, really holds second.
Yeah, clear second, great rating run, and his other 1,200 metre run was great. His 1,400 metre run in a Group 2 with a steady tempo was fantastic as well. So he's definitely a horse that might not want further than 1,200 or 1,300 metres.
All right, and let's have a look at another horse that just loves coming second. This is Calabasas at the Beaumont track, and, well, yeah, he comes second again.
He loves coming second. What is it, 5 or 6 out of 12 starts? He's up against Vigilance, who's a Godolphin horse that's been scratched in this race on Saturday. He won his next few starts after this, or she did. Calabasas coming to the outside, quickening up, challenging well. He's come second to some fantastic horses like Super 2 and others. Okay. He was in the provincial championships, and once again, he's right there in the finish here, Stu.
Yeah, right there in the finish, beaten by another one in the blue there. They could have a big day this weekend. Well, look, let's have a look, Mike. It's key factors time. We've got to get this last leg of the quaddie home, and we've got to split these. Look at all that form, so bunched.
Can we split them or not? Straight away, you can see the form's quite similar. Let's flick up these key factor ratings and see which one's suited. Look, first hand drawn quite wide. Maybe not ideal for him. Looking down the page, plenty of gold bars there. Piracy, Redouble, Calabasas, all have scope to improve. King Darcy, actually probably a negative for him back in distance. He's red there. And let's push through these factor ratings to see the overall factor rating and see how we're going. And Piracy just edges out first hand, Redouble and Calabasas. Chalk not too far away the grey as well.
All right, that's the good thing about the key factors. You've sacked a few, but you've still left a lot in it there. That's why we love this puzzle. It is racing. I reckon it's that sort of race that if your mate's at the track saying, oh yeah, mine, this is going to win by 3, he's got rocks in his head, mate. This is open.
Yeah, really open race, and look at that. There's, 4 or 5 you could go from. Looking at the odds, it kind of mirrors the odds, doesn't it? So if you've got an each-way bet, Redouble, Calabasas, Chalk, don't let us put you off. Piracy just in front. We're feeling like an each-way bet to finish us off in the day. We might throw them all in the quaddie. Yeah, but Redouble and Calabasas, there's reasons why we looked at those replays. They're great fresh. They're great over 1,200 metres. And they're great odds.
All right, and some value there to wrap up the quaddie. That's what we've got to do here, Mike. Last weekend on Epsom Day, well, it was a great start. We had In Her Time as the best bet. Happy Clapper also got us off to a great start, but that's apparently where it stopped.
It absolutely stopped after 2 legs, didn't it? But a great start. Got us in the profit after those 2 legs. We're trying to come back with a bang here, aren't we? Look at that. I mean, we couldn't find a horse to beat Viridine. Single Bullet obviously is a threat, but he's drawn wide, and then we think Viridine's got more improvement. I would like the 1,200 metres even more. Ace High, he smashed them last start at Rosehill. We think he'll smash them again. We think he can sack that Dulcify form across to race 8. Daisy, Dixie, and Imposing Lass is the value. Race 9's the tricky one. We've got 5 runners there. This could be a big result. 667%, Stu, for $100.
Mate, that is massive. That is confidence with a capital C there in those first 2 legs. Are you unloading on those?
Yeah, those first 2 legs, $10 for an all-up bet. I'm already on. You're already on. get on as well.
All right, well, you need to know how your horse is going to handle the Randwick Rise this weekend, and you won't find out anywhere else bar the race guide. All the feature race guides will be up online on Friday at theraceguide.com.au. And look, Mike, this time next weekend we'll be scaling the Everest.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
But until then, it's happy punting this weekend, and we hope you steered you into a winner this weekend for the Quaddie at Royal Randwick.
Cheers, good punting.